Welcome to I'm Spiritual But, starring the award-winning author and actress Anne Scottlin and globally renowned speaker and award-winning author Dr. Roger Leslie. I'm Spiritual But is a one-of-a-kind talk show about inclusive spirituality for religious and non-religious people alike. It's our vision to inspire everyone to discover their own unique spiritual experience. Email us at hello@imspiritualbut.com. We'd love to hear from you, or if you have a guest to recommend for the show. Thank you to USA Global TV, to our sponsors, and to all of you for spreading the word. And now, Anne Scottlin and Dr. Roger Leslie.
Hello, Roger.
Hi, Anne. Great to see you. How are you?
I am good. Great to see you as well. And what a beautiful day in the world when you look for the beautiful things.
Absolutely.
Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us here on our live show on USA Global TV and radio. And we are so glad you tuned in. Please do like and subscribe on whatever channel you are watching this, whatever platform. That helps us keep this content coming to you. And this is a live show. So we've done it that way specifically so we can interact with you, our viewers and listeners. So if you are watching today, you can put your notes right in the chat, your questions, and we will try to respond to as many of those during the show as we can. So Roger, anything special in your week around your spiritual wellness?
My understanding just keeps growing in the idea that we all have a purpose. We all are light. And if we just trust ourselves, we will go to exactly what we need at the exact speed we need to. Everything is evolving in perfect time.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Beautiful.
How about you?
Yes, actually, today I was learning about patience. And okay, now I will read you what I wrote down because I'm actually going to post it on Twitter later. It says, life often interrupts good intentions, and a sense of humor is key to embracing the now. So I had a couple things happen in my morning, literally went upside down, quite literally. And I was at the wrong times. And I thought, this is universe humor. This is just my opportunity to say, hey, you can't anticipate everything. Just relax and know that you're okay here. Okay at your core. When you can have a sense of humor, it definitely helps.
Absolutely.
So today we have a really special guest that I've been looking forward to having here for a long time, Malcolm Gallagher. I would call him a friend if he's good with that. He has an amazing streaming TV show in the UK. He's the anchor host of the award-winning BV TV network, which is 8 online TV channels and 5 podcasts. He's a business philosophy coach, and he's co-director of BizVision, which is an international community of experienced motivational speaker. He is an experienced motivational speaker. I told you, world upside down today. And he speaks and teaches on sales, marketing, and leadership. And I've also been on his show a few times, and I love what he's doing because he's really working from the heart to make the world a better place in business. And we had some conversations also around what spirituality means to each of us. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to extend that conversation with him. So please help me welcome Malcolm Gallagher. And we will say there's a little delay.
Hello, Roger. Hello, everybody. Welcome to England. I must qualify, this is northeast England, not London. London's another world away.
Well, we are glad that you are here and from the UK, and I'm just so delighted to have you here on the show, Malcolm. And part of the benefit of you living in the North is that you get to go experience you get to get your nature or spiritual fix every morning. Tell us about that.
Yeah. The beach is 100 yards away from the studio. I love my meditation to meditation is where I just sit for 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes, and listen to the waves crashing on the floor. Crowd everything else out. Crowd all, and just listen to those waves crashing. And because it's the North Sea and it gets a little bit wild and windy at times.
I can imagine it does. It sounds chilly.
It's called Northumberland, and this holy island is called the cradle of Christianity, where the Lindisfarne Gospels were written and so on. And the whole of North is full of Hadrian's ruined castle where they filmed Harry Potter. Spirit of nature is what drives your spiritual thinking.
It really does, doesn't it? And I know where you're talking about. Now I know even better where you live, because you're not too, well, you're within not too super far from Whitby, right? I think he might have frozen. So anyway, I will talk for just a moment. Oh, there he is.
Very nice. And that is further down. That's in Yorkshire.
Okay.
Yorkshire,
okay.
Yeah.
But I did go by your space.
We don't speak to them when they get further south.
There you go. But
Say that again, please, Anne.
Lindisfarne, I actually went to see studying British history years ago when I was in college, and we got to the beach, but we got the tide wrong. And so we couldn't get out to the island. But I had really wanted to do that because I know it has such a, I love history. So maybe one of these days, if I come to see you, I can get over there.
Spot on. Right.
So Malcolm,
I'll get the tide tables. I'll get the tide tables so we're ready.
So I love your quotation, Malcolm, that you shared with us for the show. You said that every problem brings an opportunity, but you have to seek it. And that quotation comes directly from you. Can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey and how that quotation shapes your spiritual journey through this life?
Yeah. In my core business, hospitality, travel and hospitality. And I've been in over that years. And I've got to tell you, that was at the very early years of charter flights and flying and all that sort of thing. And there were lots and lots of problems. Lots and lots of problems. Looked at that problem, you could get very depressed. And I think people do get very depressed about problems. And so I thought, that's not the way to look at it. I don't know where it come from, but, I've always been a follower of people like Dale Carnegie and so on. And something popped into my head one day. And for the last 40 plus years, my mind has been no opportunities. Now look for the opportunities. And it may be that you can help somebody in a different way, but there's always an opportunity. Always an opportunity. So try it. Would you like me to expand a bit more upon that opportunity?
I have a question then, Malcolm. So can you give us an example of at some point where you were facing a problem and you sought the opportunity there and you helped yourself or someone else?
Yeah. Well, Roger, the birth of BVTV happened at the beginning of the pandemic. I was before that flying all over the world, traveling, thousands events and everything. And that'd be quite a day, as you both will know. after I was feeling, so what? I've got to go home now. And I just, the problem I've got, satisfying myself, delivering on what I know I can deliver, just on stage and massaging my ego. And so the which where we interviewed over 800 lead CEOs, authors, world, substantial amount there. I've been able to communicate people I could never have met without sort of 3 or 4 years. And so the opportunity now of getting my message across is much more effective than stages and flying thousands of miles. And I can't, sorry.
And I can't hear you. And do you think you might be muted?
Boy, yeah. See, you can't
There
read
you
lips.
go. There you go. Thank you.
My mini schnauzers were barking. And so I muted myself and then forgot. That's the problem if I mute myself. So thank you, Malcolm. Oh, I had so many good things to say just then about you, Malcolm, and being so grateful for you joining our show today and letting our listeners know, yes, we have a little delay because Malcolm's joining us from the UK, but we're so excited to have him here. And if you're just tuning in to the live show today, this is I'm Spiritual But. We're a show about inclusive spirituality and finding out what that means to different people, creating a space where we can have a conversation, whether you're religious, whether you're not religious, what it means to find your inner self, your true self, your higher self, whatever it is you call the greater powers or even the powers of you internally now. And so, Malcolm, my question for you is, it was really interesting when we were talking because you said for you, spirituality in many ways is really about just living with purpose. And that really fascinated me. Could you explain what you mean to people who might be tuning in because they're spiritual or seeking spirituality? What does that mean for you, living with purpose?
Yeah. Roger was very right before when he said everyone has a purpose. And I think it's something that in the past we've been too busy being avaricious, wanting to profit without thinking of what we've been to the world on. And if one thing is good, and there are lots of things that are not good, that we now are starting to reflect. In point of fact, tomorrow on Thursday in England, it's National Reflection Day, where we will do a minute's silence at noon and on the people that we've lost, particularly during COVID. And it's a national thing there. And now I think the thing is, we were too busy before COVID rushing at work, at life, rushing at work, being avaricious, pushing people out of the, and suddenly, what pandemic made us do was to think, reflect. And most people now are leaders. And by the way, this is only just, it's just in my about why am I doing here? you know, what's this business I'm working for about? How is it contributing to sustainability? Company leaders have floundered with this thing they can contribute to the world.
That's beautiful. So how we contribute to the world.
How do you define purpose is the key. And the problem is that so many a turnkey approach. They want to be able to say, here's the magic formula, everything's you need to do to find your purpose. That's not true. It needs to be a holistic work. It's got to be bottom up as well, so that the people within the business all feel part of it, take ownership, and they know and they can see where the company is going to beyond just making a profit. And by the way, I am not decrying making a profit. Good purpose can make profit.
Absolutely. I love that. And I've been talking a lot lately about social entrepreneurship and how that is sort of the new kind of entrepreneurship, because it's creating change in the world for the world as a whole, humanitarian, whether that's green, whatever it is, but for profit. So you can do good and still make a living. And any of us that have been in, especially teaching and service, authors, speakers, I know that you can relate, and also Roger can relate. There have been plenty of times when we worked for free. And those times are obviously, there are times for that, but there's also a time to say, yes, it's okay to benefit from the universe, to spiritually benefit, to professionally benefit, to financially benefit from helping make a world a better place. We're all a big family. And when we hold hands and support each other, it's really the best enterprise that it can be. And I have one other question for you too, Malcolm, which is, because you were talking about corporate life and corporate world and business world being your platform, and that you mentioned COVID. So during COVID, the big corporations especially, as well as the rest of us, we finally really embraced the value and importance of emotional wellness. And something that I've seen since then as an opportunity, which is partly what this show is about as well, is that there should be a space where even the corporate world can recognize the need that part of emotional wellness is spiritual wellness. If you were going to introduce that in the corporate setting, whether or not you use the word spiritual, how would you describe that? And do you think it's valuable?
Yeah, I think sometimes we have to be careful with the word spiritual, because it's too often categorized within, should we say, religion. But we all have a spirit, don't we? And every one of us that works in a business have a need. And it's actually the leader has got to understand that leader's emotional skills are. And today's leader needs to understand compassion and to be able to, and that people are not just cannon fodder, if that's the expression. I don't know whether you have that same expression in the USA, but just to be thrown into the and disposed of. People today, and so the business has to understand as a business has a spirit, its culture, for example, its culture. And so do the people who work within that business that make that culture, that deliver on the promise of that business. And this has been hard for a lot of leaders to get their head around, because they've been so focused upon borders and profitability and sitting in a corner office firing off emails, started BBTV. I was talking to CEOs and who were frightened to come on screen because they'd always and sent messages out, and suddenly they were having to communicate with people, to communicate with their own people. And there's lots of stories. I think I might have told you one about them sitting there and not coming on screen unless they had a PR on one person on one side, a T person on another, and almost some their feet as well, because they were frightened of having to communicate. So today, things need communicating, and emotional skills, I think, are so important. Everybody, particularly the leaders, to master.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, thank you. I think you're absolutely right. Communicating, understanding that we all have a spirit. The business, even a business can have spirit. There's a place for us to be sensitive to the spirit, the soul of the other, and especially within business, being willing to, I think, part of what is making the world grow and change in a positive way is learning to be curious and accepting of other people's differences. So whether they're religious or not religious. But, as you said earlier, Malcolm, you can go out in nature with anyone and have what I would consider basically a spiritual moment, if that's the word they choose to use, because that's that grounding. That's where your soul kind of, where we meet the earth. I always say that we forget that we're not just looking out at nature, but we actually are nature. We're in nature. We're a part of nature. Despite all of the artificial things we've created around us, nature is still what we are. So that is really sort of a going home or a grounding or a spiritual experience. So I just wanted to see if you had any final comments, Malcolm. I think we're going to cut it a little short today so that we can have you back once we get the delay sorted out and really take full advantage of, because we're hanging on every word, but then we have to wait a little bit. Cindy Cohn sent in a comment in response to Malcolm. She says, pain equals purpose equals passion. And I think that's really beautiful. Pain equals purpose equals passion. And I would even add equals after passion, pleasure, because when we follow our passion, when we follow our purpose, yes, we have to go through the hoops, but there's also that satisfaction of making a difference in the world and impacting other human beings. Roger, did you have any final thoughts or questions?
I just appreciate it, especially Malcolm, your comment about using the term spiritual or spirituality in the workplace. I do realize that there is a connotation.
I think what. I'm sorry, Roger, I missed the bit at the end there, but I think Cindy's comment was spotting. I think Anne said the next piece should be progress after that. And if that was correct, then I totally agree. Progress, we've got to keep moving forward, haven't we?
We sure do. We sure do. And I want to thank.
We have a thing here that we call the conscious. Yeah, the conscious.
I'm going to jump in, Malcolm, and I apologize because it may on your end sound like I'm talking over you. But we did want to give people an opportunity to please check out Malcolm's website, which is bizvision.com.uk. He's doing some really amazing work in the business community, and he has such a heart for humanity and such a heart for the world. So if you have business questions or you like great, wonderful business content, tune in there. You can check him out also on BizVision, BizVision on LinkedIn. And we'll just have you back, Malcolm, from your cool spot on the British coast when we've got better tech one day and a little better arrangement. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure. I've so looked forward to it, and I'm just looking forward to speaking with you again. Again, everyone, please check out Malcolm at bizvision.co.uk. And for everyone here, please do like and subscribe. Check out the show here, whatever platform you're watching or listening to, USA Global TV and Radio. And join us again live next week for the show. It's a Wednesday at 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And then Malcolm, I think you have a comment, so I'm going to be quiet for a moment. Did you have something to add there, Malcolm? I just didn't want to cut you off.
Well, I'd like to say bye-bye and thank you both for me to come and be yours.
Thank you so much, Malcolm.
Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you all, and have a wonderful week, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.